Hello, everyone. Good morning and good evening whenever you are. This is Bianca from USC. Welcome to the series of USC online event to learn knowledge from different academic fields. And it's wonderful to see all of you today here. And today's event is Global Opportunities for Public Policy Graduates, Unlocking Your Career Potential. The guests of today's events are Dominic Alletto and Ginger Lee. Dominic is the Deputy Director of Career Services, and Ginger Lee is the Director of International Recruitment. And they are both from Price School of Public Policy. And we're so grateful and lucky to listen to this seminar today. And dear audience, please know that we will have about 15 minutes Q&A part after the speech. Feel free to type your questions at any time into the chat box. We will try to get as many questions as we can at the end of the speech. Kindly remind, please mute yourself during the presentation for the good event quality. Thank you, and welcome Dominic and Ginger.
Thank you very much, Bianca. I'm going to start first, and then I'm going to introduce my colleague, Dom again. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the USC Price School virtual event. As Bianca just introduced, my name is Ginger Lee, and I'm the Director of International Recruitment at our Price School. We have a very full agenda today where you will discover a lot of resources available at our career services and how the Price School of Public Policy unlocks your career potential if you do have a passion for public policy, different majors in that area. Because of that reason, I have invited my dear colleague, Dom, here to speak with everyone here. Dom is the Deputy Director for the Office of Career Services at our school. At the Price School, we do have a very strong team of career advisors, professionals to advise all the students navigate their career development. Dom actually supports the strategic vision of the career services in areas of technology implementation and the career data management. He's going to present a lot of data and then using the evidence to support his kind of arguments and then telling you some of the specific examples. I also have some examples to share with all the students here. How our students, they find their job, opportunities in the United States or even in their home countries. Of course, we are speaking to the audience not only in our Zoom today, but also to those on several live stream platforms. Thank you again, my colleagues, Terrence and Amy, and their team members from the USC China recruitment team, which makes this live stream possible. We are going to bring a lot of questions back to this room. If you do have questions, please feel free to write it down, and then we are making sure that we are going to address that. And I also want to thank my team member, Yuhan Emily, for her excellent work behind the scenes. Now let's welcome Dom, please.
Thank you, Ginger, for that kind introduction. It's very appreciative, and it's great to work with you and Bianca and everyone else here behind the scenes. So it takes a whole group of us to put this on. Well, it's wonderful to be here and to be speaking with everyone and to speak a little bit about my office and the services that we provide all of our students. Bianca, do you have my deck prepared? I want to go through just a few slides with you all just to get us kind of started and to introduce you to my team. We really believe in supporting students in every single way we can, and we take a very individualized approach to that. So Price School is actually a fairly smaller school within USC, a total population of around anywhere between 1,500 and 2,000 students. And so my team is made up of 4 individuals. So we can just go to the next slide. So you'll see my team here. Like I said, we're very interpersonal. We like to connect with people. So we have our director who actually does one-on-one advising with students. Myself, I do a little bit of everything. But another big part of my job is working with employers that are in the nonprofit sector as well as local and state government here within the US. But we also do connect oftentimes with international organizations as well. My colleague, Seta Kennedy, she does employer relations, and she specifically focuses on federal government, but also private sector, specifically consulting, is she's an expert in. And then Thomas Ng is one of our assistant directors in career education. And so he runs our mentorship program, as well as our, nope, you're right on time, Bianca. He runs our mentorship program as well as doing advising. Our office puts on a lot of events, okay? And the reason why we put on a lot of events, and Ginger and I will likely talk about this, is because our big focus is we don't believe that we get you the job. We believe that we provide the environment and the education and the opportunity, and it's up to you to go out and connect and learn and make yourself a high competing candidate to get the job. So all of our events are really focused on connecting you with alumni, connecting you with employers that are seeking to hire, connecting you with mentors. So you'll see here, we do both large-scale networking events only for price, as well as virtual networking events and career fairs. Now, I should also probably note that USC as a whole school, we have several career offices. In particular, we have a central career office as well. So the great thing about no matter where you go within USC is that you have your school's career center, specifically, so Price, but then you also have additional resources with Central Career Center and all of the other centers that are around. You can go ahead and perfect. So really quickly, I don't want to bore you all, but I do, as Ginger said, I want to just show you some examples of where our some of our core 4 degree programs, what their employment opportunities look like for them. So I'm going to go through 4 slides here, and they're going to be, you know, our top major public policy, health administration, urban planning, and public administration degrees. And I'll talk you through each one of those a little bit. So starting off with public policy. Also, I should note, like Bianca said, if you have a question, feel free to type it in the chat. I'll either read it or Bianca or Ginger will relay it to me, and I'm happy to respond. So for our public policy degree, we find that this is, so I'm going to give you more background than you probably need, right? But our public policy degree is very data analytics focused. As a matter of fact, we also have a joint degree with Viterbi School of Engineering looking at big data and public policy analysis. So we see a lot of our public policy students going into consulting realms. Now that could be management consulting, like Deloitte or an EY, but it could also be government-focused consulting as well, where consulting firms are actually working with local, state, or federal organizations and governments to implement different programs and strategies. We also see students going into a lot of government administration. Now, this is in particular, this happens within the states, but we do see for our MPP program, as well as our urban planning and public administration program, we see students going back to their home countries and into administrative jobs there as well. And then last but not least, because the degree is so research focused and analysis focused, a lot of our students do go into think tanks as well. So I think, you know, off the top of my head, you know, some of our recent MPPs have gone to like Lockton Companies, which is an insurance company. It's a large scale insurance company, and they do insurance for insurance. And they're working with capital markets and shipping and everything. So we have somebody who is working there, and they're doing data analysis for the insurance side of the business. We've also seen MPPs go back to work for the government of India, in particular, Joint Commissioner of Income Tax. So these these logos here represent actual companies our students have gone to, as well as both our national students and our international students. You'll see here we've got 92% secure employment within a year of graduating. I think that's really important whenever you're looking at any degree program. You're looking at not only what do graduates do, where they're going, but how many of them are actually employed. And that this is an easy statistic to not put on here, right? And I think it's important to be transparent about this. Now, that other 8%, where are they? In actuality, I wouldn't say that they're unemployed. I think that I just couldn't get a hold of them to tell me what they're up to now. So if you do come to Price, when you graduate, you've got to follow up with me and let me know what you're doing, okay? And then when we look at compensation, so the salary range, this is between 55K and 95K, depending on the sector that students go into. So just a brief overview of our public policy students. I can talk about internships for each one of these degrees a little later. Perfect timing with this slide, Bianca, thank you. Okay, so for our public administration degree, it's somewhat similar to public policy, except that the public administration degree is a bit broader, right? So you could focus on lots of different areas in matters of public administration. And, you know, that could be within a nonprofit industry that's raising money. That could also be at the same time literal public administration, so working for a local government or federal government. And then we still see students going into the private sector, specifically within consulting again. And typically when we look at MPAs that go into consulting, those MPAs are doing what we call a GPS, which is government public consulting. So, or government public sector consulting. So they literally are a division of Guidehouse, right? That is contracted by the state of Seattle to look at how their transportation services are actually helping the different counties within Seattle or not. So it's just a kind of a great way to be doing government work, but on the private side as well. When we look at the top areas of employment for our public administration students, again, we're looking specifically at state and local government, as well as consulting, which I mentioned, and then nonprofit administration. And when I say nonprofit administration, I'm usually talking about program management, or on the back end, the administrative side of running a nonprofit. So a little bit there. The employment rate is still strong as was with our MPP, and the salary range is a little wider. It goes a little lower, so it's 45 to 95K, and that's because we see a lot more students going into the nonprofit side as well. Wonderful. So our healthcare administration, my last two degrees that I'll be talking about, they are a lot more focused. And so they have a very defined industry that they're going into. So for our MHAs, we see now, also I want to distinguish between something. The Price School is a school of public policy, but our MHA degree is not really a health policy focused degree. It's more of a health administration degree. So it's like the business side of running hospitals, healthcare systems. And that and policy, while they're parallel to one another and inform one another, that's why our MHAs take policy classes, they are still very different. So I'll oftentimes differentiate that, as will Ginger. So our healthcare administration degree is very strong. Predominantly, literally over the last 5 years, the majority of our students go into larger hospital and health systems. When I say system, those are wraparound systems. So everything from insurance, outpatient, inpatient, care, all of those things. So organizations like Kaiser Permanente, Tech Medicine of USC and Hogue, even Optum, those are all systems in and of themselves. We do see quite a bit of students going into the consulting side, and this is specifically within healthcare consulting. So just like I was talking about GPS, right, with our MPAs, these consultants are working alongside hospital administrations and helping them tweak and focus a particular product or level of support for their patients and clients. That could be looking at models of insurance. That could be looking at proactive ways of preventative health and preventative care, so that students or so that people don't get sick. So this is a lot of analysis work that goes into this. So it's really important that students know how every kind of little pinpoint within a hospital system and how they're run. And then last but not least, we do see a good portion of our students going into administrative fellowships. Now, the term administrative fellowship is particular to usually the health administration field or an MBA degree. And those fellowships are particular for the health administration field, and those are rotating programs. So those are hard to come by, and there's only a few places that actually provide healthcare fellowships. And so this is a great opportunity for individuals to go there. They have a same employment rate. Usually it's actually much higher. Just this is from last year, as well as the salary range is much larger as well. That's because the healthcare, there's extreme demand, at least within the US, for health administration. It's one of the largest growing fields that's out there. Okay. Last but not least is our Master's of Urban Policy degree. Where do students go with an urban policy degree? Well, specifically within LA, transportation is such a huge demand, right? And within LA, we have major ports that go throughout the world as well. So we see transportation being a top focus for our urban planners, as well as housing. When I say housing, I'm talking about everything from affordable housing models, so helping people that actually don't have homes, building homes, building infrastructure for cities and governments to help develop homes and stuff like that, as well as on the real estate development side, which is more commercial. Okay. I also see a lot of people going into urban design firms. The term urban design can be really general, but you have firms like, for example, Estelano Advisors, and they might be doing a whole different array of things that are helping a county, a city, a region figure out what they want to do with a specific parcel of land. And they'll also talk to the community about what they want to see with that land, how it serves the people that live there. An urban design firm can also do multiple functions. So it can look at real estate development, it can look at land use, might also be looking at architecture and design. And so an urban planner within that firm might have a specialty that could be design, it could be transportation, it could be community engagement. So this is a great field, and we see a lot of our students go into urban design as well. Again, this is a very, it's a focused degree, but it has lots of different applicable areas. So we'll see here, HNTB, we actually have a student from a Chinese national student who was working at HNTB here in LA. This is an engineering firm, right? And you're saying, Dominic, why are they working in an engineering firm? Well, the engineering firm also does construction as well as transportation. So that's where the urban planner comes in place. We've also had students work at LA Metro, as well as Fair and Peers, which is a transportation private organization, and Estelano Advisors. There's many, many more. So their salary range is right there, and it's a great field that's in high demand. I think I spoke a lot, So Ginger, I'm going to turn it over to you so we can have more of a conversation.
Definitely. Taking the hint, Dom. You actually talk, where our students goes, right? And I'm very curious, especially from audience and the student's perspective, are there any kind of particularly job search strategies would you recommend for our international students? Before you answer that, when Dom is introducing the first couple of slides, I actually wanted to point out one thinking that I think it's huge and then very valuable to our international students. I consider this as a mindset kind of shift. Don mentioned that once you are at the Price School, once you are at USC, we provide you with the environment platform where you can connect with all the potential employers and also mentors, right? It's really a mindset shift because I was an international student a decade ago. Perhaps our mentality learning style is really listen to our instructors, listen to parents, listen to authorities, and then listen to their guidance. However, we're never thinking about what do we really want, and then whether we can take some of the initiatives and proactively looking for jobs. And then when I came to USC, the environment absolutely changed. No one is feeding us anything. Resources, rich resources, all there, right? It's out there for us to tap into it, explore it, and then identify the opportunities that suits you. So Dom, comes back to you. You meet a lot of international students. What are the strategies there in addition to what I just mentioned, mindset you have definitely to shift?
Yeah, that's a great point about the mindset. And I should also say, Ginger, that we have to tell this to our national students as well, the students that come from within the country, that they really have to reach out for these resources as well. So there's a similar kind of combination there. I think for specific strategies for our international students is, I think it's really important. Like Ginger said, is to one, and I know we're talking about jobs here, but I think it's important to back up. I think first, I want you to do well in school. If you're going to graduate school and you're struggling with grades or time management, there's a lot of stuff going into graduate school just in general. So I think it's important first to kind of get your roots, put some roots in the ground and get used to the classes and dynamics and make connections with your faculty members, okay? As well as make connections with staff members. That could be someone like myself. That could be any of my colleagues. And we will email out opportunities and different things that are happening, as well as clubs and organizations. Because I think that the more you start to build relationships with your peers, as well as with your faculty, you will start to become surrounded by your area of study and focus. Right. And when you're surrounded by it, you're naturally going to learn about internship opportunities and job opportunities and alumni that are doing things that you're excited about. And yes, you will need to take the initiative to reach out to those alumni. And we'll do that in different ways. You know, like, for example, our fall networking night, we do a prep workshop with all of our students to talk about how do I walk up to an alumni and make conversation? What do I ask? How do I follow up, right? And so I think networking is a key strategy. So, you know, I know a lot of students are very prone to just looking online for jobs. But you don't have to go to USC to just look online for jobs. You can look online for jobs right now, right? So I think, you know, taking the time to make connections with alumni, make connections with faculty are really important because they're going to direct you to the next thing. We have this thing that we call the Trojan Network, right? And that is really like everyone who's an alumni of the school, whether you're an alumni of Price or a different school, they look out for each other and they want to support one another. I think another big strategy too, when it comes to job searching, is starting with the internship. When I was looking at our numbers in the background and I was kind of disaggregating our data, I was looking at how so many of our students get full-time jobs, and it's particularly within our international student community, we see there's a large conversion to hire. So for example, for our MHA students, I was just looking at, where they interned, right? So some examples of internships within just the last year. We've had one person work with the Keck School of Medicine, and as well as a different department within Keck, as well as Cedars-Sinai, right? Now we have a thing that we call conversion to hire, which means if you worked for Ginger as an intern and you did so well and you really liked working for Ginger, and then an opportunity came up, Ginger might say, hey, she's not going to say, here's a job. What she's going to say is, I have this job available. I want you to interview for this job. Now, because you worked for Ginger before and you know her department and you know her working style and what they do, you're going to be a better applicant because of that. So I would always advise students to be very focused on, first getting settled, then looking at internships that really interest you and taking those very seriously, because that could be the step to your next job.
I think it's very good. Don, you talk about specific examples, right? I do have student workers, team members working for me. And then after, when they approach graduation, they are looking for job opportunities. And then the first thing that I think about, are there any positions available within the unit with the price school, fits their needs, fits their desire, and then opportunities opens, right?
Yeah.
And then you talk about the children network. I think it's absolutely true. This is something a lot of time I tell my students is you got to let them know that you're looking for something.
Mm-hmm.
You got put yourself in front of them, showing your values that you can be a very good team players, and then your skill sets are this. And then people, when they evaluate you, they know that you are good. And then when opportunities opens, they think about you the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Never just searching online and then stay in the room by yourself, because you don't have to come to USC for that.
Yeah, and it's lonely.
Yes, it is lonely. Comes back, Dom, you talk about MPP, MPA, MUP, MHA, our 4 majors in the price school. From your perspective, because you interact a lot of data, a lot of job opportunities, are there specific industries or sectors that offer a little bit higher demand for professionals with degrees? The reason why I ask this is because some students, maybe they are still debating which area to go, either an MPP or an MPA. They probably are open to both, right? But they are also maybe thinking a little bit ahead of time, want some professionals' advice. Is there a kind of a little bit higher demand in certain sectors, maybe can guide them through making a very wise decision when they apply for the majors?
Yeah, so are you telling me to pick a favorite right now? Are you saying pick a favorite, Dominic? No, okay, so here's my take on that. I think the MHA degree and the MUP degree are very focused. So there's almost a straight line connection to what you study and then what your career is, right? Sometimes, and it's okay, no matter what your degree is, that people might not end up going into that, right? And usually that happens with a bachelor's degree, right? I have a bachelor's degree in sociology. I don't necessarily do sociology, but I utilize a lot of the things that I learned in sociology within higher education. Now, I also have a master's degree in higher education, right, in student development. Our healthcare administration students, you saw the data, right? They go into hospital and healthcare systems in business, project management, financial management roles. So that's clear. There is no kind of searching as to like, well, what do I want to do, right? It's pretty straightforward. Even going into consulting, it's healthcare consulting. And there is a high demand for healthcare administration, at least here within the States, but it has to be within across the world. Not only are you working within a healthcare environment, but you can really manage any kind of business environment there as well. Now, with our urban planners, also, you're going to be doing some sort of planning, right? Again, that could be transportation, that could be real estate, that could be land use management, but it is also a very focused field. Now, both of those degrees have very focused academic programs that you can kind of tailor to your interests, but you're going to get some strong connections through both of those degrees. That doesn't mean the MPP or the MPA degree isn't a strong degree either. It just means that there's a lot of different opportunities that you could go into. So you can have one MPA that is working at, Sonova Energy Company, which is, doing financial analyst work, which we had one of our students from China who's doing that right now. Okay, they're working at Sonova Energy in Texas. I would have never thought you're going to come to LA and then work for an energy company in Texas. That's great, But then we also have students that have gone back to China and they worked with PwC, formerly known as PricewaterhouseCoopers, for their ex-Ventura program in Beijing. Now, that is a particular program that has hired a lot of students from our MPP and MPA degrees. And it's called PwC ex-Ventura. You all might know of it already, but look it up. I just looked it up before I came on here to see, is this still happening? Is it still around? Because we have so many students going there. But there's a lot of opportunity within both of those degrees to go into energy, to go into food, to go into, everything. Everything needs an analyst and everything needs an administrator. So it's really up to you where to go there.
Perfect, Dom. I think I want to add one more point because Dom already mentioned about our MHA health administration major. This one, what I always share with students, if you're thinking really about business and management, right? And then you want to pick a field, healthcare field, I think it's demanding and it's emerging field in kind of international, I would say for international students, because your country maybe kind of go through the transformative healthcare reform in the system. They are looking up to the US, what to learn about the examples. And the US in this area, it's huge. And I use this word very lucrative as well, because it's very solid in the system. And then everything, students are able to obtain opportunities. I do have a team member who actually graduated from an MPA degree. However, USC CAC Medical School has a job opportunity opening, and I was able to refer her to my colleagues there. And now she's working in the health administration field. And the USC CAC Medical School or hospital, and we merged Arcadia Hospital right now, Methodist now becoming USC Arcadia Hospital. Yeah. We hire a lot of international students who can speak their local language because we see the international tourism is booming there. Mm-hmm. And then that's, I would say, coming back to my own answer, I do see that's a good trend as well. Yeah. But I want to remind students who kind of are in our MHA degree, they really need to meet certain number of hours internships, we call residencies, in order for you to graduate with that particular degree. Mm-hmm. All right, Dom comes back to, I do have several questions. I want to inspire our audience to generate some questions too. So if you do have any particular questions you want to ask Dom, ask me, feel free to type in, and then I'm going to continue. Dom, we talk about professional associations, right? Perhaps touch upon a little bit. Are there any specific job, for example, boards, professional associations, or even some of the platforms our students should utilize when looking for job opportunities in our, in the field you just talked about, especially there at USC?
Yeah, okay, great question. So I'm thinking there's two approaches. What I heard you say is job boards that students should be looking at, and then professional organizations. So I typically see those as two things. So So professional organizations, yes. For each degree, there are pointed professional organizations. So for example, if you're into urban planning, there is the American Planning Association. Okay. Now within the American Planning Association, there's also a contingent for international planners as well. So I also believe that when you enroll in our MUP program, you're automatically provided with a free student membership to the APA. Another thing is we also have a student planning club on campus, right? Now, the student planning club is different than APA. So I think it's important to get involved in both clubs as well as national organizations. Our MPA and MPP, anyone that's interested in government to some extent, even if it's consulting for governments, there is a lot of organizations. The one that I think of that just comes to mind is called ICCMA, which is International City and County Management Association. These management association, they work with city and county managers. So you've got your mayor, but then you also have kind of like the CEO of a city or county, and they run all of the business areas of a local metropolitan government. So this is a group for people that are interested in there. They also work with a lot of private organizations that do contract work for municipalities as well. And like I said, it's an international organization as well, so it's a great opportunity to get involved. Our MHA program has a really strong student healthcare association, so it's SHC, right? As well as a Greek organization that's focused on the academic side of their work. They also have a case study challenge group that does healthcare case studies across the country. And it's great preparation if you're interested in healthcare administration. And then again, there's also a local and national healthcare administration organization as well. It is called, I can't think of the specific list of letters, but if you come, I'd be happy to tell you.
We have to come first to see, right?
Oh, yes. Yes,
Come to the right school first.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you know, and then Ginger, you also asked about job boards, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, you know, Ginger and I already talked, right? You're not just going to apply to things just online, right? You're going to talk to myself, you're going to talk to Ginger, you're going to talk to us, you're going to network with your faculty as well. But, you know, we have a jobs board system where all of our alumni can post jobs. So I get emails all the time from alumni, right? Because they know that they got a good education and they want to hire somebody that also has a good education. So they email me, Dominic, do you know somebody that can do this? So we have our jobs board. It's called PriceNet, but next year we're adopting a new jobs board. It's called Handshake. Now you might have heard of this already, but it's a more modern platform right now that is going to increase the amount of jobs and opportunities by thousands. So I actually think that's going to be more of our job to curate jobs for you than to just find them, right? And then of course the USC system also has a jobs board as well. So before I were to, you know, talk to you about like Indeed or different external job boards, I'd say start within the school first and then work your way out.
Great. Dom, you talk about faculty in different locations. If I can kind of share with our audience and the students, I see faculty, there are two different categories and types. One is faculty full-time employed by USC Price School, and then they do a lot of tons of research. Students coming to our graduate program who have the vision in the future to apply for kind of research opportunities. And then those faculty members definitely have ongoing, or maybe in the future, they have research projects going on, and then you are able to get an internship and an on-campus job doing the research. There's another type of faculty members we call adjunct professors. They come in after their daily full-time work. However, they are professionals in their field. They are experts, meaning that they are in a position maybe to hire students. Maybe their organizations are looking for kind of vacancies to be filled, and then entry level students. So these are all the network and faculty members you interact with them. And then you tell them, introduce yourself, who you are. What are you looking for? I'm looking for a job, right? You have to be very straightforward, because no one can really understand what are you thinking without you sharing your mindset with others. Dom, comes back to another question I think it's very, very important is, to you, from your perspective, what are some key skills and the qualifications that employers, they are typically looking for when hiring graduates, graduate students or graduates, especially from our field, public policy, public administration, urban planning, and the health administration?
Yeah, I think there are some key skills that are always challenging. But I think the key thing is blending both what I call a soft skill, like interpersonal communication, right? Being able to carry on a conversation and really thinking and listening to that person and recalling that, with strong data skills as well. So not that everyone needs to be a statistician or an analyst, but I think it's really important that students, no matter what field they go into, whether it's urban planning, healthcare, public policy, that you're able to understand and analyze data and then communicate it in a way that is accessible to another audience. And that's something that, all of our programs focus on in different ways. So we know in society now, there's numbers are thrown at us all the time, right? And we also know that there's also lots of different forms of communication that are purporting to communicate news. Some of it's fact and some of it's not. So I think being able to take an analytical focus at looking at data and then interpret it for others is really important. So how does this happen, right? Public administration, you are required to write memos, professional memos, to make suggestions for a government, right? Healthcare administration, you are writing out program and business plans for your department, looking at different ways of using technology and what the studies say about that technology. And urban planning, you're looking at land use management or transportation management and what the flow of traffic looks like. And you've got to be able to understand how to take that data and take something like overlaying map data and then translate it for either a city council member or for a private organization. And here's the trick. Just because you're good at knowing the numbers doesn't necessarily mean that you're good at interpreting them and communicating them. And so that's, I think, the thing that is important to learn how to do is be comfortable with the numbers and also be comfortable speaking about them as well. I think that and just having really good interpersonal skills is critical as well. And if I didn't mention it before, I think strong writing skills are really important, because when you're applying for a job, when you're writing a cover letter or resume, or when you're already on the job and you need to communicate something important, you need to be able to do that and communicate very well in writing.
This is a very good segue. Talk about the soft skills, communicate, interpersonal skills, right? And then I think in the US, we are very strong or emphasize on the organizational culture. I remember your team and then you share about one story with all the students is connecting you guys during the interview with Thomas is he likes to eat or enjoy different kind of foods, right?
Yes,
During
we
the
all
interview,
love to eat. Yes.
yes, that's part of your kind of unit culture. Comes back to you. What are some important culture and professional norms that you think our international students should be aware of when they applying for job opportunities? For example, especially in the US, they probably already have a lot of knowledge back in their own home countries, right? How to deal with that. However, during the interviews or even kind of working in the American setting, what are the big hits or they should be aware of?
Yeah. Okay. So I could be off on this, right? But I think something that I have found that some international students that I speak with, they struggle with is actually speaking about themselves and their skills and what they're good at. Now that's kind of hard in general, right? But within the the US national system, when you're applying for a job and you're in an interview, that's what the interview is about, right? Now you're saying to yourself, I already gave them a resume. I already gave them a cover letter. What else do I need to do? But it is important that you know how to tell a story and communicate what you've done and what you've accomplished as well. So it's not just about, I had this job before I had this job, but it's when I was an intern at, Mercer Consulting, I focused on A, B, and C, and I was able to complete this and that in this certain amount of time. So I think it's really important to be able to know how to talk about your own accomplishments. That's really important. And I also think something that's really key is, and this is like really standard across the board, I think, even for our national students, and this is going to seem really small, but, if you're meeting in person with somebody, you've got to dress professional and you've got to give a good handshake and look at somebody in the eyes when you're talking. Now, this is something my mom taught me how to do, from the time I was young, but even now I shake somebody's hand and, they might not look at me in the face. And I think that that's so critical to be able to communicate well and comport yourself well in person. And then I think another really critical norm here is also writing a thank you letter. Now, this doesn't even have to be about a job interview, right? But for example, I'll test you all today. I'm sure you've got either Ginger's email or Bianca or someone on this line. You're going to have their email. Now, if I meet with a student and the next day they send me an email, Dear Dominic, thank you for meeting with me. I learned this and this and this. I really appreciate your time because it took time out of my day to do this. I appreciate your time and I'd like to learn more about this and this and this. Would you be open for a conversation? So there's two things there. You actually took the time to say thank you so much. You also said, I remembered this or this stood out. So now this is telling me, oh, wow, this person, one, really cares. They're professional enough to write me a good message. And they pointed out what I spoke about. But then the added bonus to that is then you said, and I'd also like to learn about these things. Would you be available to talk sometime? Now, what did you hear there, Ginger? What's good about that, right? Have you had somebody ever write you a thank you note like that? I mean, that is prime right there.
I remember that student immediately. And
yeah,
if that student constantly coming back to me with the positive feedback, even progress that he or she has been doing because of our first conversation, just update me and I will just remember this person for a long time.
Yeah.
right? Because we meet so many students every day in the network event who can follow up frequently and constantly. I think these are the characteristics, coming back to the soft skills, are the persistence, and I feel grateful. To be honest, where I was born and raised, follow up with a thank you note is not a norm in my kind of, where I grew up, the settings. But I find it so, I would say I feel very appreciated, or even I feel very grateful if I do that, to pass the gratitude around among the people surrounding me, or even be thanked by other people who I had opportunity to help with. So this is very different.
I mean, to go back to that, Ginger, I'm sure you and I went into working with students like Bianca, right? Because we like to see people grow, right? And I mean, I know that that's what I do. Of course I have to make money, but I didn't do this because I make a ton of money, but I do this because I'm, fulfilled by seeing people go on and grow and do better and help their families and help their communities, right? And when somebody stops and says, oh, hey, Dominic, thank you so much, or I learned this, or I gave them advice, and then they come back and they say, it worked. Like, that's such a great way of what I like to say, turning somebody from like a connection into an ally, right? And when I say ally, I mean that's somebody that is actively supporting and looking out for you. Ginger said earlier, she thought of a student that worked for her, and she knew somebody that worked at the Keck School of Medicine. And she actively went to learn about this opportunity and communicate it back to the student. That's an ally.
Definitely. And also coming back to what we talk about, right? Connections and also network. And then coming back to the organizational culture, I think USC Private School especially have the culture where we support each other. We want our students to thrive, not only academically, but also professionally as a better person every day. That's why I continue to working here for over a decade, never leave the Private School, because I feel love in this organization where my colleagues, students, we are supporting each other. And there's another question in terms of I would say, specific skills and the qualifications. We talk about how we can present in front of the employer, right? But however, we have to pass the first round of resume. What are the specific, I would say, tips you want to share with our students when they turn in the cover letter and the resume? What should they highlight in their resume? And also cover letter, what are the key important ingredients from your perspective you think that you want to share with our students?
Oh, thank you. And I also just responded to a question that we had about a master's program in CPT, and I don't quite know what CPT refers to. So whoever wrote that, thank you for the question. Tell me what you mean by CPT, and then I can answer that too. So
I can help with that question, but
okay,
go ahead first. Yes.
Well, no, go ahead. You go ahead and address that one first.
I think this is more like an international specific question, student specific question, and the CPT is where students, if you are looking for internship opportunities which are paid while you are still studying at USC, you have to apply for a CPT, allow you to legally working for that.
Curricular practical training.
Correct. And then OPT is the after graduation, right? The Private School will have a master program. Hey, I probably interpret the student questioning a different way because he mentioned about master program in CPT.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah, I was like, well, okay, what do we mean by CPT here? So we'll need them to clarify that.
Sure.
Yeah. And then Ginger, before you were asking me about, you were asking me, Dominic, give me all of your tips and tricks. Give me everything you know about resumes and cover letters. So you want me to just hand this over right now, Ginger? Just like all this valuable information? No, it's no problem. Well, first off, I've found that no matter where you're coming from, whether it's within the States or from another country, that everyone has a different way of doing resumes and cover letters. So I first think it's important to connect with the resources that we have so that you can see examples and hear from us firsthand. So for example, we have a online program that uses AI technology you can upload your resume, and it's going to give you feedback based off of what we've already deemed as really strong resumes. Okay, so that's going to be something really important and critical. The other thing is that we actually have templates and examples of that we use. So for a resume, I think it's really critical that it's one page. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. Your resume should be one page. Even if you've done a lot of stuff, unless you've been working full-time for 10 or 15 years, even coming out of graduate school, one page, because it needs to be succinct. So it should have a good amount of information in there, but done so in a way that you can read it easily, but has it just easy, right? So just one page, because people are going through a lot of applications. So one page. I think it's also really critical that you use bullet points to communicate your accomplishments and use numbers and data. If you were a teacher during the summertime, I taught math to a group of 4 and 5-year-olds for a camp of 300. Their test scores grew by 15% within 3 weeks. Okay, that statement right there is an accomplishment statement, not just I was a camp counselor, right? But instead you taught how old they were, how many there were, and whoa, they grew in that time. So I think using accomplishment statements and keeping it to one page, I think are all really critical. The cover letter is a whole other thing for another time, but my kind of like quick pointers on the cover letter is you want to tailor it and focus it. Just because you've written one cover letter doesn't mean that you can use that for everyone. So you want to, in a cover letter, address first, what are you interested in and what makes you interested in that organization? And then in the next paragraph, you're going to want to outline why you think you have the skills to work with that organization in that particular job role. Second paragraph, third paragraph, and then summary. So it's, I'm interested in your organization because of this and this. I think I have these skills that meet your needs. Next paragraph, example of your skill. Next paragraph, example of your skill and experience. Then summary. That's my short plug for a cover letter.
Very good. Thank you, Dom. And then I'm mindful of our time, and then it's close to an hour already. I also thought about some of the examples. Maybe I just bring this to everyone, and then Dom, if you have additional comments, even some specific examples you can share, I think that's important for our students to envision themselves in the future. It's sort of like a role models. For international students, we are looking at kind of job opportunities after graduation, and then we're looking at OPT 1 year, or our type of majors are able to, whether students are able to look for jobs in the United States, right? That's everyone's kind of major concern, I would say. There are a lot of private sectors are hiring international students, graduate from our different majors from our schools. Just name a few. Perhaps you have your eyes in the high-tech companies. Apple, Google, or even Meta, even Amazon, they have headquarters in the Silicon Valley, in Northern California. They even have Silicon Beach, where Los Angeles is located. There are a lot of opportunities in the private sector, high-tech companies. Are they all hiring engineers, computer scientists? No, right? They are hiring our students as well. Just give you specific examples. We do have students who are earning our MPA degree and landed a job at Meta, overseeing marketing and performance management for the company's government affairs team. So that's our students' unique characteristics, because we learn public policy, government issues. And then all the private sectors, they do have the functions dealing with government entities. Then that's your skills, interpersonal skills, interdisciplinary skills that you can contribute to the companies. We do have students from Venezuela, and then she participated in a study case with USAID in February, and then it was really going to contribute her vision about public policy issues and then bring her own country's cases to the organization. We also have students who graduate from MUP currently working at Google. Students graduate from MPP and PA. They're working at the Apple Marketing, Apple Pay, and even Tencent HR departments. So all the opportunities in the US are out there for you. Dom, any other specific examples you want to share, you want to add?
Well, I think something that's important that you mentioned is that a big, besides already having your native language where you're coming from as a huge bonus, right? Coming to the States, to know how to communicate with a whole audience back where you're coming from. I think students need to think about that as a huge skill and gift, because our world is a global world and a global economy. And so I think it's also really good to be looking at what are the needs within specific companies that might connect back to your home culture. So if it's marketing in India, right, then you can market that yourself to that organization. I think of some other just great organizations that I see our international students working at is, you know, we have not even within California, but I've seen MHAs, they're going on and doing fellowships. So one I see here is at UTSW Medical Center. We have a project specialist in emergency management, right? I also have seen people work for PwC as MHAs, but they're doing healthcare consulting for their healthcare team. I've seen people that are, you know, working with Vizient Inc. So it's more of a data focused healthcare company. And we have a person that's doing an advanced analytics and informatics fellowship for them. So whether it's in California or it's in another state, or maybe it's even in your hometown. So I see one of our recent MUPs is working at, and I could pronounce this wrong, Xinjiang think tank as a research and policy research division person in Beijing. There's a lot of opportunity out there.
Thank you, Dom. I want to give our audience one more chance to see whether they have any questions. And I do see a couple of questions, and then we are able to respond it to you already. Bianca, do we have any other questions from the live stream platforms?
Yeah, yes, sure. Let's due to the time limitation, so let's pick one or two questions from live streaming platform. The first one is, thank you for sharing employment and salary rate in each field. How about fields in arts leadership or education policy? If you can share a bit more about these areas, thank you.
That's a great question. And so the data that I shared is really like our broad data. So I don't have numbers off the top of my head for arts management or the other sector, unfortunately. But again, I'm always happy to look information up. Another thing we think about is our top fields and areas, and those are the areas that I pulled up for that. One tip I would say is, if you're interested in that, what I often recommend to students is to utilize LinkedIn and utilize the school's alumni tab to see what people are doing. So you can actually go to USC, you go to the Price School's LinkedIn page, and then you can look at alumni. And then if you look closely, you can actually sort by the field they're in. Now, it might not say arts management, okay? I know that we talk about a certificate in arts management, but LinkedIn might not call it that. But you can at least look at the organizations of what they're doing, and you can do some of the back end work like that.
This is a great question. If I may share, A month ago, we actually organized a panel where students, alumni, graduate from the Price School who are currently working art industry as a curator, as the founder of design company in the arts industries. So for that student, please feel free to kind of follow up with us. I'm happy to share that link with you. If you are our Price students, and I'm happy to make the connections for you to individually connect with our alumni. Maybe you can ask that sensitive question as well to them. Bianca, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you very much. So that's really the good opportunities for our students. And the next question is the teacher who helps you find jobs or internships or help you find employment. How many students they responsible for at the time, and could you please share how the teachers help the students specific to find a job or internship? Thank you very much.
Yeah, Bianca, I think what that question is talking about a little bit about class size, right? So how many students is that faculty member responsible for? And then what are some other ways that they can help students connect to jobs? Ginger, feel free to jump in here, but I think class size can range anywhere from on a more advanced level class, depending on your degree. So it could range from 20 to, I know some larger classes that there's more demand for them, could be up to 60. I don't see classes going up to much more than that. I think a big thing about USC and the Price School is we're a smaller school within a larger school. So it's not like we're an undergrad degree where you might be in a classroom with 500 people and you have a TA. It's usually much smaller. In some of the ways that I see our faculty helping our students, so there's a couple ways. One is systematic. So the MPA and the MHA, as well as the MUP, all have internship hours or residency hours as requirements. Ginger mentioned that earlier. That's designed to give students practical experience, but also it's a great way for those faculty members to connect students with their connections. So, we have faculty that work at SCAG, which is a regional planning organization within Southern California. We have several faculty that work there. And we see that I have several students that work at SCAG, but I have someone from China that just took a job there doing, let me see here, they're assistant regional planner for transportation planning division, right? So they're helping to build that connection right there. Faculty also bring in outside organizations, whether it's for the MPP program, you have a practicum that you need to do at the end of the year where you work with a private organization on a project. And the MPA degree has what they call a capstone, where you're doing a project as well. So you're kind of consulting for both of those, and it's a great practical way to build connections.
Yes, faculty does bring a lot of great valuable opportunities to our students. Using myself as an example, when I was a student at the Price School, 2009, MPA, I was pursuing MPA degree. During the summertime, I actually landed internship at World Bank. And then we are studying the water resources revitalization in China. And then that opportunity actually brought back by our faculty member who does consulting, and the colleagues who work in the urban planning department in the World Bank. And the faculty does play a very important role in the school. So it goes back to Bianca's question. I think in the US, that's probably the norm. No one is guaranteed any job for 80 students. That's what I can say. It's really up to us how you grab the opportunity. This is what I really share with my students. If you have a very strong determination saying that I'm going to get a job in the US, that's your dream or that's your kind of ambition. And I can guarantee that if you have that confidence and determination, and then you know how to navigate and then deploy all the resources, the result is that you are going to get a job, 100%. However, if your mindset is not determined enough, I'm going to try it. If I'm not able to find a job in the US, I can always go back to home. You have a backup plan. Then you're going to go back home. Okay. No matter which major you are in, either a social science major, humanities major, or even a little bit engineering, STEM major is a little bit more helpful to find a job. But I can guarantee humanities, social sectors, you can find a job, no problem. I find a job here. A lot of our international students in the United States find a job here. But also you have to analyze your own home country kind of employment trend and also that kind of situation. If you think yourself going back to your own home country have a bright future, then that's another opportunity for you where you can go both ways. Okay, Bianca, is that good? Do we have more questions?
No more, and we have almost 7,000 viewers in every live streaming platform already. So
okay,
thank you very much.
Okay, that's good. Tom. All right, April, if we can advance to another slide, I'm going to wrap up really quick, Tom. Thank you so much. So the next slide, you're going to see a lot of our social media channels. Our new recruitment season will start in a few months. And we will offer a series of information sessions. And then please stay tuned on all our social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, and the Instagram. This is how you are going to kind of keep in touch with me. And then Dom and his team, a lot of time they are going to show up on the Instagram as well. That's what I see. Next slide, please. For those who use WeChat, please scan the barcode to follow us and then join our 2023-2024 prospective student group, because we are going to send a lot of information, including our future upcoming information sessions and the following online events and the workshops as well. Next slide, please. Students ask whether today's session is recorded. Absolutely. This is how you can reach out to us. And also we are happy to share the link with you if you want to kind of come back and then listen to Dom's kind of insightful presentation and then my conversation with him as well. Next slide. No more actually. So I want to really share with you that the Price School has changed many international students' life. I'm very grateful that Dom can spend some time with us to share his ideas and the insights and advice with all our students. We are really looking for those who are passionate about public policy, urban planning, governance, healthcare administration, these majors we talk about today, and even those who want to make a real social impact on our community. Dom mentioned it's not about what your hard skills are. It's ultimately depends on how you can go too far. Is really the soft skills, right? Be grateful and then send a thank you letter to anyone who helped you along the way. This is critical and important. We cannot emphasize more. USC's extensive children network will benefit you significantly. And my colleagues, including Dom and I, we are here to support you. We really hope you have a great day and enjoy your weekend. We hope you enjoyed today's session. Again, thank you, Dom. Thank you, Bianca. Thank you, Emily, Terrence, and Amy. Thank you all the audience. Stay with us for over an hour, and we will see you next time.